Com licença.
Welcome to Mark Medley's Everything Disney.
Oi, puxa.
Remain seated at all times. Refrain from eating or drinking and refrain from whistling at the animals or making other weird noises.
Sliding closed.
If anything falls to the truck, I cannot touch it back and get it.
Alright, doors are closed. And you're all clear.
Thank you, Warden. All right, friends. Everybody's ready for safari, then Twin Day. Twin Day means let's go. Jumbo, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome aboard. My name is Cindy. I'll be your safari guide this morning as we head on to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Animal spotting guide located up above your head if you'd like to spot the animals right along with me. 34 different species of animals call this reserve home. We'll see how many we can find out here this morning. Now once we get onto the reserve, please no loud noises, no calling out to the animals, clapping your hands or whistling at them. Keep your arms, hands, legs, and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Keep a tight grip of any personal belongings. If you drop something off the truck, we cannot stop to pick it up, so keep a tight hold of those items. And make sure that everybody remains fully seated. No more standing once we start moving, friends. No changing seats. Don't pass anybody across the roads. Don't lift anybody up over your head. For your safety and everybody around you, make sure everybody remains fully seated at all times during the safari. All right, friends, we are just waiting briefly. We're going to have clearance here in just a moment. All right, let's head on in. So the first area we're heading through on the reserve is the little Ituri Forest. Animals call the forest home. They're going to do their best to blend in with their surroundings, using the markings on their body and the color of their body to hide themselves from their predators. So let's see what we can find this morning. Over on the right-hand side, the okapi over there. Okapi is a very shy, reclusive animal hiding deep in the forest. They weren't known by the Western world until 1901. Thought they were mythological creatures. They do have zebra-like stripes on their legs. That is part of their camouflage. It mimics the light reflecting through the forest foliage. Sorry, a little tongue-tied there. But they're no relation to the zebras. Okapi is actually the closest living relative of the giraffe. They have a very similar skull and the same long prehensile tongue to grab that foliage. As we come around the corner, on the top of the hill over on the right is the bongo. And on the left-hand side, we've got the black rhinoceros. So the bongo is the largest and heaviest of the forest antelope. The darker one up here is the male. And the black rhino out there, there's a second one up ahead here, a little closer. Let's get up here and get a look at this second one. So get a good look at the black rhino's mouth. That upper lip of theirs is pointed and prehensile as well. Now prehensile means finger-like for grabbing their food. They're about 3,000 pounds fully grown. Not really black, more of a gray in color, nice and wet with mud already this morning. Now they're very solitary and territorial. They tend to come on the evening to do their socializing and their mating. Back to the right-hand side, the light-colored antelopes up there without the horns, those are the greater kudos. They can be found in the forest and also on savannas, able to move between ecosystems. No horns being their females. And the dark brown ones, as I said earlier, the bongos. Now the bongos found only in the forest. They are the largest and heaviest forest antelopes. All of them will have horns. Those horns help them make their way quickly and quietly through the thick underbrush in the forest. And they're so rarely seen in the wild, they're sometimes called the ghosts of the forest. All right, headed out of this forest, we're going to make our way down next into the Safi River region. Let us see what is awake in the river this morning. All right, I see some pelicans up ahead. And we've got hippopotamus, friends, over there on the right. So the hippopotamus, they like to hang out in the water. Can hold their breath underwater about 7 minutes at a time. If you're on the left, friends, don't worry, there's a lot more river coming up here. But the pink-backed pelicans on the other end here, now they get their name because their skin under their feathers turns pink during nesting season. Each one has a different nesting season. Wingspan up to 9.5 feet wide, and they do pair up. They live in large groups. A group of pelicans are referred to as a pod. There can be about 500 of them in a single pod. And more hippos, friends. There they are over in the river on the left.
Holy moly.
Now that's considered a bloat. A bloat of hippos is what we call a group like that. And the little one up in the front that's moving, that's actually a baby hippo. Just under 2 years old, a little female. Now look at the head, the eyes, ears, nostrils, everything is at the top of their head. So if they pop that head up to get some air, everything's at the top of their head. Not really swimmers. Hippos walk along the bottom of the riverbed. They'll walk or run along that riverbed, as I said, to move around. Can move about 30 miles per hour when they're in the river. They're going to get to about 5,000 pounds, about 13 feet in length. And they do eat about 80 to 90 pounds of vegetation a day. They are herbivores, grass eaters. So they're going to leave the river at night and they'll go inland to search for grass. They can go about 5 miles away from the river looking for grass. Crossing out of the river region, the Nile crocodiles down there, found in pretty much any body of water in Africa. They're going to get as long as a giraffe is tall. So crocodile, I'm sorry, can't get my mouth to work this morning. Crocodiles are 16 to 20 feet in length, weighing upwards of 800 or more pounds. They will go for pretty much anything they cross their path in the river or get close enough, and they can eat about half of their body weight in a single feeding. During a time of drought, they can go up to 8 months with no eating when food is scarce. And their bite, that's about 2,000 pounds of pressure when they clamp those jaws shut. That's enough strength to crush bone. Heading down next onto the largest part of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, that's the savanna. Now before we head in, on our right hand side, that big tree over there, you might have seen when we entered safaris, and we will see a few more of these. These are baobab trees. The baobab tree is a leafless tree, no leaves on it for 9 months out of the year. After the rainy season is when it will sprout leaves, and will hang on for about 3 months before they fall. Let's make our way down. I see some wildebeest and some little springbok out in the distance, already moving around. Most of the animals that call the reserve home live in herds, might have different names for those herds, but they do migrate as well. They have to keep up with the rains to keep up with their food source. So the grazing animals are going to eat those grasses, the grass, the foliage up in the trees. Their migration can number over 4 million animals moving at one time across the savannas. It takes them up over 1,000 miles. So we have some domesticated animals on the reserve as well. We do have some Ankole cattle, first of those domestic animals coming up here on the right side of the ride path. And we've got predators on the left, friends, the African wild dogs, also called the painted dogs for their coats. Now this is a pack of 6 brothers right here. So out in the wild, those packs can get very big. They can be 20 to 30 dogs in a single pack. There will be an alpha female and an alpha male that lead the pack. These dogs communicate with a chirping sound, and they are the #1 hunters of the savannah. Their success rate when they hunt together is 90%, which is better than the lions and the cheetahs combined. Alright, a good look at the Ankole cattle now. There's 3 on the right and 1 over here on the left. Now their horns are about 3 to 4 feet long on each side. So they carry up to 8 feet of horn on top of their head.
Hook 'em horns,
only weigh
baby.
between 8 and 15 pounds, so not as heavy as they look. They're a honeycomb structure on the side. Their blood flows through their horns. Also on the left-hand side as we entered, if you look at that Harambe Wildlife Reserve sign, there was an animal sketched on there. That is this animal right here, the sable antelopes. They are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Named for their beautiful sable-colored coats that will get darker as they mature. The females get a darker brown. The males get almost black in color. And those horns atop their head, razor sharp, use them to spar and to protect themselves from their predators. Their herd's headed by a dominant male, but it's the dominant female of the herd that decides their movements. Now we have been passing a lot of these large mounds. The large mounds we're coming by, these are termite mounds. They do get hard as concrete, and they're made of termite saliva mixed together with dirt and dung. So big animals like the giraffes, the elephants, they will use those very large ones as scratching posts. They'll rub up against those slowly wearing them down. Once they just become small little nubs, like some up ahead here, the little animals like those small antelope out there, they'll use those as a perch. They'll stand on top of those to watch through the tall grasses for predators. And Those little antelope over there are the springbok. Springbok, they get their name because they are able to spring straight up into the air, 6 feet, and forward 13 feet. One of the smaller antelopes. Now on the left, we've got our first few wildebeest here. Now the wildebeest do form the largest, most densely packed herd of any animal out in the wild. The herd of wildebeest can number well over 1 million animals. And they do migrate as well. They're constantly on the move. They have to keep up with that rain, like I said, to keep up with their food. And the wildebeest here, they can smell that rain in the air about a mile away. This is just a few members of the herd. We'll see if we can find the rest of them. Seeing some snap trees and logs up ahead. So we are headed into elephant country next. I'm going nice and slow, giving the giraffes time to get out here, but they are not making their way out yet this morning. So we will just keep moving on. Head into elephant country next. This area. Also on the left hand side, let's see if we can find some mandrills. We might have some monkeys out moving around. Getting a little quiet on both ends though. Mandrills, the monkeys, best known for the red and blue coloring on their faces and hindquarters. Gets a little brighter as they get excited. More prominent on the males than it is on the females. But no mandrills and no elephants yet, so let's keep moving forward. Elephants do live in herds, and a herd of elephants here on the reserve is 9, but out in the wild they can get upwards of 50 elephants in a single herd, and most of them will be female. The female elephants stay together in the same herd for their entire life. And they'll raise their young together as one large family unit. That large herd is headed by the eldest female. That's going to be the matriarch of the herd. All the wisdom and knowledge has been passed on through the generations to that matriarch. So she leads the elephants on their migration, using the same trails that have been used for thousands of years. Matriarch also decides when it's time for the males to head out on their own. That's usually around the age of 13 or 14. The male elephants will leave that family herd and head out and live a bachelor life. When they might group up with a few other young males from time to time, form a small herd. 3, maybe 4 elephants at the most in those bachelor herds, and they don't stay together long. They will head out their separate ways again. Now on the right you see lots of tusk marks there in the red clay. So red clay is a natural sunscreen for the elephants. They're going to use their tusks to loosen that red clay up. And we do see some of the herd friends out there in the distance, so we're going to get a little close to them in just a moment. So the elephant's tusks, those are large incisor teeth, using them to dig and also to spar with. Protecting their trunks as well. An elephant's trunk has about 100,000 muscles inside of it. They use those for pretty much everything that they do. Now the African elephant is the largest land animal, land mammal. Comes around the corner, he's bringing his food around the corner. So males weigh upwards of 15,000 pounds, will stand about 13 feet tall. Females will get to a weight of about 10,000 pounds, staying 10 feet tall. And the elephants, they actually keep growing till they're about 35 or 40 years old. And they can live to be up to 70. As you look at the elephants, you'll see they have a lot of dirt and mud on their bodies. That is to help keep them cool and to protect their skin from the sun, because they actually have very sensitive skin. It's only about 2 centimeters thick. So they're going to use their trunks to give themselves dirt baths and mud baths. And the thicker that mud, the better. That forms a nice protective barrier between their skin and the sun. And that is the oldest one here on the reserve right there. That's a male. He's just over 40 years old. Get a good look at those beautiful tusks made of ivory. Those large ears, they can get up to 5 feet long. The backside of them contain lots and lots of blood vessels. So to cool themselves off, they can just wave their ears. As the air will circulate over all those blood vessels on the backside, and that can drop their body temperature between 10 and 15 degrees. And all the folds in their skin, that helps retain moisture. So that is another way for them to stay cool. As we come around, we're passing a pond filled with the greater flamingos, which are the largest of the flamingo family. They're also the lightest pink in color. So flamingos, when they hatch, are gray. Gray will become white. If you look closely in here, you might see some white flamingos just starting to get their pink. They still have a little bit of gray on their heads and necks and on their backs. Some of them right around on this side. Now the pink that will come as they age and mature, and that is from their diet of brine shrimp. And it's the carotene in the shrimp that will give them that pink color. A group of flamingos like this is called a flamingo flamboyant.
Pretty much the whole day.
Heading deeper into the savanna tree lines. Now a lot closer to us here on the ride path. So we're going to keep our eyes in the tree line, down any little side paths. Big mud wallow out there in the center. So lots of animals use mud, like we said, the black rhinos, the white rhino as well, and there are some white rhinos down the path out there, friends. We're going to get a little closer to them in a few minutes, though. So this big mud puddle here, used by the white rhinoceros. They are going to roll around and wallow in that mud to cover themselves with it. That's their sunscreen, keeps their bodies cool. It also protects their skin from biting parasites. The white rhino is a little more social than the black rhino we saw in the forest. White rhinoceros live together in groups that are called a crasher rhinos. And we've got cheetahs over on the left, friends. All the way back there in the corner. Now the cheetah, one of the fastest land mammals. They can run at speeds of up to 70 miles per hour, but they can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. A single stride of a cheetah is going to cover about 23 feet. Only large cat whose claws do not retract. Their claws always out to give them an excellent traction at those top speeds. Now they can only maintain that speed for about 300 or 400 yards, so very quick bursts of speed as they chase down their prey. And the cheetahs are daytime hunters, one of the only large cats that is out hunting in the daytime. There are some animals on the right in the tree line over there, kind of hidden. Those are waterbuck in there. Now waterbuck stay close to water. They drink excessive amounts of it, so they do not migrate. And their furry brown coats, those are water repellent. And they emit an odor from their bodies that kind of smells like turpentine. So to escape their predators, the waterbuck will actually go out into the water. And their backsides have almost like a little target on the back. And that is so when they are moving, they follow one another, so they will know who to follow. And I hear the lions roaring, friends. Here's a female right here. She's coming up from the front. So the lions are the most social of the large cats. I wanted to make sure everybody got to hear that roar. And there's the male. So the pride in the reserve is a male and 2 females.
The big one on the rock.
And the little one in the front says she sees Simba. Well, guys, if you've seen the live-action Lion King, that lion right there was Simba. That is the lion they used when they made that film. So his mane gets darker as he ages and matures. Can weigh about 40 pounds. He's grooming himself right there. And that roar of theirs, that can be heard on a quiet day about 5 miles away. And we do have all 3 members of the pride here, the 2 females in the back. So the females, they do most of the hunting for the pride. They typically will hunt at night. Their vision at night is 6 times stronger than ours is. Hunting as a group. Male will stay behind. He's going to protect the younger members of the pride and protect his territory from other male lions.
There's female.
Up there,
Pretty much the whole day.
As we come around, we've got, oh, we have an animal keeper, friends. So we are not going to see the warthogs in that area at the moment. But we have the white rhinoceros up ahead here. So the white rhinos, second in size after the elephants. They're going to come in at about 5,000 pounds fully grown. And as I said, they live together in a group called a crash. And one of the youngest members of the crash right there, that's a little rhino calf, the little one on the left. Just over a year old now, already weighs about 1,700 pounds. So that's a big baby right there. Another waterbuck back there. And the rhinos, very, very poor vision. You only see about 10 feet around them. That's the term crash. Very good hearing though, and very good sense of smell. So those are the 2 senses that they rely on when they move around on the savannah. The rhino's horns are made of keratin. That is the same thing that our fingernails are made of, keratin. So just like your nails grow, so do their horns. They're going to rub those up against hard surfaces to help shape them. On the right, we have some ostrich eggs right there. We didn't get to see an ostrich. But they are the largest birds, which means they lay the largest eggs. An ostrich egg weighs about 3 pounds. So one of their eggs will equal about 1.5 dozen chicken eggs. Very strong as well. Those eggs can withstand about 250 pounds of weight on top of them and they won't crack. Coming up next on the Warden's Post, we're getting closer to the edge of the reserve. Here at the post, the Nigerian dwarf goats. Let's see, they are right there, or some right out front here. It's a little domesticated goat from Western Africa. And these are dairy goats, so lots of farmers, in addition to their crops, will also have herds of these goats, raising them for their milk. And they can sell the milk, butter, goat cheese, they can sell all that to local villagers for an additional source of income. We are now exiting the reserve, friends, but if you'd like to get a little closer to those goats, there is another herd of them out at Rafiki's Planet Watch, and that is just a short train ride away. That train starts up at 9 o'clock to head out to Rafiki's Planet Watch. It's called the Wilderness Express. It'll be on the left side of the village of Harambe. Every 5 to 7 minutes it will head out there, and there's an area out there, the affection section, and that is where you'll find another herd of the Nigerian dwarf goats, and you can actually pet them. Get your picture with them and some other domesticated animals if you'd like. Also out in that area, the Nutrition Center. You will learn the diets of all those animals that you just saw, how they prepare their food, and how they feed them. Animation Center there, you'll learn to draw a Disney character. And there's a veterinarian center out there as well, friends. So if you're lucky, they will be doing a checkup or a procedure, something on one of the animals from here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, or it could be an animal from the Living Seas at Epcot. But there's a large window and you can stand there and watch as they do that procedure or checkup. So lots of fun things to do out in that area. You'll also learn lots more about Disney's Conservation Fund when you're out there. That was set up in 1995 to help save animals, protect the planet, and inspires others to do the same. Safari 5, load 3 is in the jog. Safari 5, load 3 is in the jog. But as I said, you'll learn more about that Conservation Fund. And if you'd like to donate to that fund, friends, you can do so to any of the shops here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Whatever you choose to donate is matched by Disney right down to the final penny, and 100% of the proceeds go directly to conservation efforts around the world. But to help, you don't need to donate, friends. If you don't want to, you can just follow them along on social media. Also, we can all make sure that we're helping out right from our home. Make sure that you reduce, reuse, and recycle whenever possible. Reduce your energy and water consumption. You can do that by making sure you turn the lights off when you leave the room, or turn the water off when you brush your teeth. Try to eliminate single-use plastics, and maybe think about getting yourself a reusable water bottle or reusable shopping bags, and make sure that you're recycling everything as well. Big one is electronics. A lot of animals losing their habitat due to mining for an ore that's called coltan, and coltan is used to make certain electronics like cell phones and laptops. So it's important to make sure that we're recycling those items. Also, paper, plastics, glass, and cardboard. Anything you can recycle, please do so. It's really up to all of us to make sure we're doing everything possible to protect animals and their habitats, and make sure that they're around for many more generations to come.
This has been a Rockanium production.